The kind of interesting thing here is like, you can think of a business as a system, right? It's like a box or a system, and if you go up just one level, like why am I being bottlenecked by the number of meetings? Well, if I could invest more of my personal time into doing sales, I would probably have more meetings, right? Just because, reaching out to more people, just trying to put in more effort usually leads you to getting, more meetings.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. We're here with JP from North P&D. We're going to talk a little bit about his business and what's going on in the industry. So JP, can you kick it off and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Alex, and happy to be here. So North P&D is a software development agency. So really what that means is, we have clients who are businesses or nonprofit organizations and come to us with specific needs, and we build out the software they need. So that could mean, integrating two different software systems together. That could mean, building something brand new, like a new website, or, anything sort of in between.
Awesome. What are the things that are holding you back right now from growth? I mean, what is your main focus on? Is it going to be leads, lead conversion? Kind of what's the main focus right now to actually get to that point where, you can grow the business to where you want it?
How would I call it? The constraint in my business growth has always been the number of leads that I'm having conversations with. So that's the bottleneck, is the number of meetings that I have. So, usually if I meet with of course not always, but if I meet with a prospect who's sort of qualified for the type of stuff we do, I can usually sort of close them and be able to move forward. The bottleneck is how many initial conversations do I have? So, the question is like, how do you increase that number? And, there's kind of many ways to think about that, and that's the real challenge. And again, I can share some tidbits about how I've tried to do that and how I've done that over time. But since it's bottlenecking me, I also don't feel super confident saying like, hey, this is how it's done, just because I didn't really solve it. But yeah, that's the bottleneck for me. And the kind of interesting thing here is like, you can think of a business as a system, right? It's like a box or a system. And if you go up just one level, like why am I being bottlenecked by the number of meetings? Well, if I could invest more of my personal time into doing sales, I would probably have more meetings, right? Just because, reaching out to more people, just trying to put in more effort usually leads you to getting, more meetings. And a lot of the times what happens in at least my experience of trying to grow my agency is like, I'll get overwhelmed by the current amount of workload I have. So, the cycle of the workload of an agency is very much like, sometimes my clients I'll just be super busy for a couple weeks. It's kind of been like that for the last 2 weeks. And then just for a while, my team will be working on stuff. Projects are going well. There's no bugs. Clients are happy. And then in that case, I come to the office in the morning. I have nothing kind of pressing to do all day, no client expectation, no deadlines, etc. And then you can kind of work in the fourth quadrant of the like classic Eisenhower matrix, right? Of like what's important and urgent. It's a real problem that, a lot of small business people like me get stuck into the important and urgent quadrants. And it's really hard to like fix that problem, right? I'm not sitting here pretending that I've solved it, but that's sort of the cycle that I'm in, right? It's like sometimes I can work on sales and be proactive, but sometimes I just get pulled back into the work. So that's the real challenge that people will face in kind of running a software dev agency or trying to grow it, I find.
I think it's running any type of business. I mean, for me personally, it's when you get into that like cycle of knowing things that you have to get done during that day, the money making opportunities, you're so bogged down on your day-to-day, like the thing that you're going through right now. And if you're trying to fix that for your client, make that more efficient to them and not charge them. And on a day-to-day operational level, you're focused on that. It takes away all of your time off of actual money-making, activities in the business. Then you kind of start going through those cycles of, having up months and down months depending on kind of what, you were really focusing on that month before. So, I mean, you alluded to, what you used to focus on that didn't work and that might have worked now. Have you I know you just said you haven't really figured it out like 100%, but in a perfect world, what would you be focusing on 100% to really drive business?
I think it's the basics. So just generally speaking, there is a correlation between how many people I reach out to, like LinkedIn. I've done like classic sales stuff, right? Like writing to people on LinkedIn, just cold. I did cold calls in the past, like cold emails. Going to events and conferences and things like that. And the sort of first step of the funnel is really like kind of steep there, or I don't know how, like if I would call it steep, but it's like a huge drop off at the beginning, right? I mean, you might talk with a lot of people, and to get even one meeting is like, you can talk to 200 people, you might get one meeting, but I just the basics basically. I mean, now I'm trying to specialize a little more into this open source thing called CiviCRM, like I mentioned. And so in that case, the cold outreach will be a little bit more targeted and maybe a little bit, I'm hoping, a little more relevant, and will kind of click a little bit more with the prospects. But just the basics, I mean, if I had more time, I would probably just sit there and reach out to more people every day.
Sounds good, yeah. I mean, I think obviously outreach is the most important, but conversion is also super key. If you have a ton of conversations, but you're not converting those clients. So, I mean, for you guys at North P&D, what is your main what is the biggest thing that you can provide your clients? Like, what separates you from the competition, and what is that maybe like the hyper-focus from you as the CEO and owner of the company, and giving that personal touch and being there, with the client along the way, or kind of what sets you guys apart?
Yeah. So, just generally speaking, I think that there's basically, not to get too corporate. I'll pull up here something I wrote, and I'll kind of read from it real quick. So, yeah, not to get too corporate and like non-human, but there's basically 5 values that I came up with, that I wrote down, which I think sort of define my vision for this agency, right? And those are quality and completion. And so that's a differentiating factor, right? I mean, there's tons of software development services out there, whether they're freelance, whether they're hiring someone in-house, whether they're hiring an agency. But a lot of times you try to get software built out and it'll just come out not the way that you wanted, right? Just because the sort of permission to get into this business is low, right? So it's a little bit hard for a client that's non-technical to identify who's a provider who's going to actually deliver, and somebody who's going to, where it's going to be kind of buggy. And because the problem is, like, you don't really want to end up with a piece of software that's 90% done. There's a lot of providers that will provide that. So there's that. Now, there are some people who do good quality work. We also really emphasize, like, basically customer service and communication, right? So you're right that, at the size that we're at, my clients can have my personal attention, not unlimited amounts of it, but a lot of it. And so that sort of level of communication and, clients, like customer service, is really important to us. And then the other 3 that I wrote are reliability, integrity, and longevity in relationships. So generally speaking, that's kind of it. And then beyond that, well, many companies can exist. I mean, it's a gigantic business, right? So it's like you can have within a city, you can have 2 companies that both, install and stain fences, let's say, for people's yards, and both can thrive. So that's sort of where we're at in terms of differentiation right now.
Okay. What, talking about customer service and kind of what you guys stand for and values, since 2021 and all the growth that you've seen and what you've been doing in your business, kind of highlight maybe like 1 or 2 really probably like your favorite examples of maybe projects that you did or things that you were involved in, just to kind of focus on, highlight what you guys have done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about a couple of them. One of the projects that we worked on and we still work on is something called Luxifer, and that's a startup which is based out of Belgium. Essentially, it's a SaaS, it's a software as a service, and what that product does is it will help you improve conversion rates on your digital product, right, on your website. And so let's say that you're some kind of e-commerce company or something like that, you can essentially install that SaaS, and it will provide you with just a ton of like really interesting analytics and insights and optimization suggestions and insights in order to just like optimize your conversions, as well as not only conversions but a lot of other things. So yeah, hopefully I'm being clear on that. So that's a startup that we've worked with a lot and we still do. Another example I'll give is we built out the website for an organization called IAPSC, which is the International Association of Professional Security Consultants, based in the U.S. And for that organization, which is a nonprofit, we basically took their old, so that was kind of an interesting project. We took their old setup, which was like this just outdated, outdated website and setup, and we were basically able to take that and kind of with like, it takes some subtlety and kind of skill to do this, but we were able to kind of transfer all their stuff over, all their data, and their existing kind of systems over to something that's a lot more modern and looks more modern and is more secure and up to date, etc. So that's also a good example of a project where, it's not at all cookie cutter, right? It's not like, okay, you have a small business, you need a WordPress site, we build your WordPress site. It's not really like that. It's more, kind of subtle and customized and specific. So a couple examples there.
Yeah, I love it. So if people want to find you, if they want to find North P&D, kind of what's the best way to reach out to you? Website, LinkedIn, whatever, what have you. What's the best kind of way?
Yeah, absolutely. So on LinkedIn, it's just my full name. It's Jean-Philippe Abadir. People can connect with me there. But our website is the best resource to go to if you want to read about our testimonials and case studies, which is northpnd.com. So that's NORTH like the North, and then P like proud, N like normal, D like Daniel.com. And if you want to email me, you can email me at jp@northpnd.com.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Alex.
Yeah, appreciate it so much.